How's it going, boys and girls? My name is Michael SK, and welcome to the intermission video here of my Umineko When They Cry Let's Play. So far, we've gone through 5 episodes of the 8 available here in this beautiful story by Ryukishi. However, it has been recommended to me that I put my foot on the brakes just a little bit and go back and review events that have already occurred here in the story. I believe at this point you can actually solve what is going on. However, for me, being, me, I don't even have a full theory as to what is going on. I can't really piece all the pieces together too well. And it doesn't help that it's been a little bit since the end of the last video I recorded for episode 5, because I've jumped into a whole bunch of other stuff, and yeah, so I kind of forgot things, but that is what this is for. This is to refresh my memory and to also give me an idea as to what the hell is going on. And I'm also live streaming this here on YouTube. I don't know how long I'm going to stream this, but I'm going to stream it. People here in the chat can tell me where to go, what to look at. I have some ideas of where I want to go and what I want to try and find, what I want to see, what I can figure out. And yeah, just have a good time reviewing. And like I said, I probably won't be able to find anything, but I got to try, I got to try and see if I can put things together. So let us truly jump in and see what these 118 videos that I've recorded has in store for me. And it also doesn't help that when I first started recording this, I was having some issues when I was recording anonymous code. This was like 2 years ago. And I was cutting up my recordings to push for more of fair use, to show that, hey, this is the content that I'm creating out of this material. It is not the full material. So, don't hurt me. But honestly, after a while, I kind of just said, well, you know what? Fuck that shit. My commentary is good enough. So that is that. But without further ado, let us truly jump back in to the events of Umineko so far, as I've gone through them and have slowly lost my mind over. We know that Kinzo isn't alive anymore, right? I did really enjoy in episode 1, like, how much it seemed like Kinzo was just always drinking like crazy. Sometime before his passing, at least, unsure which year. Okay, it does seem like this is this is taking place for sure, like before his death, whenever that actually was. However, I will say that these characters, both Nanjo and Genji, are both aware of the current situation, or of the situation when Kinzo dies. I mean, if it's covered up or whatever, they seem to be in cahoots. Oh yeah, they did talk about a will. But he never wrote anything.
Sounds interesting, huh?
He never wrote anything. Okay, this seems kind of important. There is nothing that he can leave behind. I mean, we know the idea that was brought up before, there being like an agreement made with a witch or whoever, that he was able to acquire a stupid amount of money and save his family. Well, we know that there's like some sort of deal, either, the epitaph has been solved or everything has gone back to the witch. But here, Kinzo's just saying, no, there is nothing. Once I die, it's all gone. Kinzo or someone on his behalf did write the epitaph, so it probably was made after his determination here. Ah, okay.
Yeah, I love it when the text is on top of that fucking logo there.
I'm glad I really changed the text box here. Okay, this seems like regular Kinzo just like, crying over Beatrice, but did the game always like refer to Beatrice in the capital letters? I know that was like, I know that was kind of reserved for like when you were referring to, like Ava Beatrice and in similar situations. But was it always like that? Like when we were going through the game? Like, I can't remember. Sorry, I might be overanalyzing.
Keeps bothering me.
Oh, see, that was like a little skip. That's what I was talking about earlier. So like it moved from like one point to another. So I kind of set myself up for failure here because I don't have everything. I've lost like 0.01% of my footage or whatever because very early on, trying to be, smart or whatever for my fair use arguments on anonymous code and trying to drag that into other playthroughs, I have cut out content that I was not commentating over. So, yeah, that kind of stinks. I think it's not that Kinzo has nothing, but that he started with nothing, then he rose up and his family thanks to a sudden sponsorship, and now he thinks his children don't deserve any of it. Well, yeah, I mean, look what Kraus did with all of it. God damn, Kraus pisses me off so much. But yeah, you start from the bottom, you rise to the top, and then at the very end you realize that you never had anything at all.
Offer your life, then you won't be able to see her. Damn, he has completely lost his cool though.
Oh, he lost his cool a long time ago, past me.
Oh, I cannot show this. Well, that was nice.
Wait, I want to watch that though.
On my phone for like half of that. But truth be told,
I actually never went back and watched those, I don't think. Okay, so this is before Battler has come to the conclusion he was still being denied. Something I want to really look into in episodes 1, especially episode 2, because things get freaky in that one. Once magic... I've noticed that once we kind of go along, characters begin to... Or, I'm sorry, not characters. The story itself begins to have the magic influence there, because now we know... It's Beatrice telling her variations of the story, and even the characters begin to acknowledge her existence and the fact that magic is real, Kanon and Shannon being a huge part of it, Genji, Kinzo himself in our interpretation of him still being alive, these guys all utilizing magic. But there has to be a reason for that, and I think we need to step back to episode 1 for it. I need to go back on that, too. I really want to go back on that. Fuck you, past me. I want to read this shit. Because I don't remember any of this, really. All I know is that we need to consider that Maria, the one that was so adamant on there being magic, and really she's one that we should probably look at a lot, instead of just being the annoying kid, seems to have a bit of a connection here. Episode 1 is the mystery of Maria getting the letter, which is how the idea of a 19th person appeared. Exactly. She said that she was given an umbrella. Nobody stepped up to the plate saying that they received an umbrella. And she, because she was just standing out there crying over her damn rose or whatever. And she was also given that letter. So, something to consider there about Maria being kind of the first contact with the supposed 19th person, which that has been dashed by the red, but the idea was first brought up by Maria. But yeah, let's read this since I slowed it down. The storm passed, and the leaden clouds that enshrouded the island for so long began to clear away. Sunbeams shone from the rifts between the clouds. Yesterday's storm seemed like a lie. Just as someone had wished, the seagulls returned to the harbor once again and let their lively cries be heard. Afterwards, the police arrived and conducted an investigation of the scene. The corpses of the children, who are believed to have survived until the very end, were never found. However, from the body parts that were discovered and the unimaginably gruesome nature of the scene, the police were forced to conclude that the chances of survival for any of the 18, including the children, were hopelessly dim. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of slaughtering that happened in the first couple of episodes. Lots of it. Just how gruesome was the banquet of the witch, and how beautiful was the golden land. Those tales are for them alone to tell amongst themselves. They have no tale for those who arrived after the banquet had ended. One can only imagine what transpired during the course of those 2 days. However, the witch was fickle. She made a point of leaving behind this tale, which had no need to be told, and permitted it to spread. A few years later, a strange wine bottle drifting on the waves of the quayside of a neighboring island was recovered by a fisherman. We did recently meet a fisherman, actually. Stuffed inside were tightly rolled notebook pages. It probably isn't, who we met, though. Crammed full to the edges with minuscule writing. Written there was this tale. It would be through these pages that people would first come to know the nature of the mysterious and riddle-filled 2-day period that began on October 4th, 1986. This incident would later be referred to as the Rokkenjima mass murders, or the 18 killings of Rokkenjima. I think Ange was referring to these people, the people that were like witch hunters and such. But yeah, they passed around the story on under the name The Witch Legend Serial Murder Case. The credits here have some very weird note about the incident, or how the incident became known. I mean, that was a little bit covered in episode 3 when we were following Ange around, I'm pretty sure. Lovers of the occult claimed it to be the sorry result of an immoral ritual that sealed off the island and savagely embellished the mysterious 2-day span with their own interpretations as they spread it far and wide. However, not one of these interpretations arrived at the truth of the facts. And while the notebook pages tell of this mysterious incident, they do not tell of the truth behind it. In fact, perhaps not even the writer of the notebook knew the truth. Perhaps she may have desired to know. According to the writer's signature, her name was Ushiromiya Maria. Furthermore, as a result of an all-out police search, part of Maria's body had been discovered, a piece of her jaw. It was one of the rare instances where the owner of a body part was able to be identified through dental records. There were many parts that could not be linked to any specific person in that gruesome scene, so the jaw could be called an extremely fortunate find. So it seems like things got even more gruesome and brutal than what we were ever shown, which is interesting to consider because it doesn't match what we came across. I mean, Kinzo's body got burnt up, but and people's faces got all, cut and slashed and like caved in, but yeah, this makes it seem like, it was just a freaky mess. It's something that we could not even have imagined, and we saw things go down. Because the jaw had been separated from its body, the police consider her chances of survival to be hopelessly dim, even though no other parts were found or identified. Let us conclude this tale with the final paragraph of the notebook pages that Ushiromiya Maria left behind. By the time you read this, I will probably be dead. Although there may or may not be a corpse, you who have read this, please uncover the truth. That is my only wish. Which is so weird because she's the first fucking person to bring up magic and all this shit. To this very day, the truth of the witch legend serial murder case has not been brought to light, as we saw from Ange's perspective. Okay, I think that was everything. Episode 1 abruptly cut off when the children tried to confront the culprit. We should go back to that. Yeah, this is when she had the gun.
If Jessica would, eventually stop crying.
That's Maria's fucking writing, by the way. That's her stupid ass laugh. Call me crazy, but it makes me think that, yeah, either Maria is just the silly child that she is, or I've brought up multiple times throughout all of this that the potential of there being accomplices, or whatever, or misunderstandings. I want to say that Maria, here in episode 1, definitely increased the idea of there being a witch, like definitely added more fuel to the flame. But did she directly have something to do with the events that had occurred? If there's not a 19th person, we go back to the killings that were done here just before this scene. There were only 4 people downstairs. Everybody else was upstairs, the kids and Natsu. How did they die? It's not a witch. That can't happen. Maria's the only person that's been saying that a witch did it. She's the only person saying this and that. How did they die? So strange. She was the only one there who is facing a wall, acting, like whatever, but it makes you think that she is the most suspicious looking back on it, which is, that can't be right. But an
Yeah, what a
accomplice,
nice
maybe.
thought.
What if Battler just killed Maria?
Watch him just shoot Maria.
Oh, what the fuck? God damn it. I haven't changed. I haven't changed. I think at this point, it's really important to consider, because this is like, I really liked episode 1. I really did. I thought it was thrilling. It really was. And not knowing how the fuck things were going down. Even now, I still don't even know how things were going down. Absolutely thrilling. And people losing their loved ones, these are all the kids, right? Why is there even such a time limit at midnight? Because it's cool. But, well, no, like, it's supposed to be like a 2-day thing, right? It's just the weekend. And then, the next day, everybody's dead. Which, that actually gets to my next point, but everybody is so delirious at this point because of all the death and all of the crazy situations that, I don't know what they saw. It's very likely, since Maria ran up to the portrait, she saw something that others couldn't. It's all in her head. That made Battler think that there actually was somebody there, and because it was the portrait, he thought there was actually somebody there with Maria. George and Jessica, if they were paying attention in that direction, were probably also delirious, and who knows what they saw, but it probably wasn't right. So I'm thinking the whole deal with Midnight, and I brought this up earlier, is that it's very possible that the events that we witness, especially in later episodes, but even now, they're not accurate. It's very possible that everybody's already dead. And Midnight, time in general was used heavily in episode 5. That was a huge aspect, was when things occurred, what can you prove? But no one can truly know what specifically went down because everybody's dead. We just have this idea. That's all we have of when people died. And now that we know that people were probably slaughtered and cut up and more brutal things happened, even past what was witnessed here in episode 1, that makes me think that Midnight was used in such a way to, like, unlock the door to the island, That's when things started being recordable again. The real world was connected to Rokkenjima, and things can start being documented once again. But nothing is known past midnight, That is just, who the fuck knows what specifically went down other than what we've been shown. Past that, I don't know. I mean, midnight could be used in all sorts of ways. I don't remember if it was put down in the letter that Maria got from quote-unquote Beatrice. I mean, midnight always seemed like, that big time, and it's been consistent throughout all the episodes.
Yeah, that.
You may also want to
Across the
think how the
hall.
first murder was carried
Twinkle.
out, the first locked room, and who was
Anything be
where
twinkling
before
through
and
the
after.
darkness of the hall.
Well, that is kind of
Yeah,
why
it's
I'm
one of
here,
those
actually.
butterflies that
I want
escaped from
to
the
see
text
what
box, it
specifically
seemed.
went down.
Damn, I do gotta wonder.
Yeah, we're
what's
just
gonna
kind
be
of looking
happening, though.
around.
Something
I
big
think
is
this
going
is
to
the
happen.
transitionary
I
scene
am
that I was
sure of it.
bringing up, the little montage of
Wait, we headed
where
back
people
to the
are,
mansion?
what's going
Is this the
on.
mansion? Yeah. Okay, so we're still at the mansion. Who are we?
Or
following?
this is, could this be interpreted as somebody
What is
moving?
happening? Oh, hello. Uh-oh.
And then the clock strikes
Is
midnight
it
to begin this
midnight?
long-ass day.
Please don't jump out of the painting. Please, please do not jump out of the painting. Why are we
Could that be
looking
an
at this
interpretation of
painting?
somebody, like, leaving the guest house, going
What
through the
is going to
garden, and then, like,
happen?
coming into the
Is there
mansion?
gonna be movement?
Maybe?
Oh, man.
That could be a way to look at it. I didn't consider that before.
What's happening? What's going to happen? Nothing. Okay. Ooh.
Okay, so we
Well,
need to
nothing
episode
yet.
5 this shit. All the
Everybody's just
adults, the
chatting
parents,
away,
they're here
looking
continuing
very
their
happy, I
talks.
see. Good, good. But something's going to happen.
Eventually, they went to
Something
sleep.
is going to
Shannon was
happen.
here.
It's just showing where
Goda
everybody
was
is at right
here
now.
with
Why?
Hanon, Genji.
What the fuck?
Kumasawa was at the guest house.
What is all this?
Nanjo
The
is in the
doctor's just in
void.
the void right now.
What the? Can I not be creative? And like, am I stuck in the past, always saying the same shit? God damn it! That's twice that happened. Where I'm saying the same shit. I'm not creative and coming up with new commentary. I'm stuck in the past, guys. I'm sorry. I'm assuming that Nanjo being in the void like that was just him sleeping in his room, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. That we could chalk that one up to being a little weird, but I'm not gonna think too much of it. Okay, these three plus
Oh,
Maria are in
jeez.
here, right? Well, Maria was supposedly asleep.
Hello, Kinzo.
Kinzo doesn't
anything
really
to say?
exist. There was like the blood stain or whatever on Natsuhi's door or whatever. Somebody was like trying to get in, you know? We had that going on. I remember that. The idea of charms protecting people was also kind of brought up.
Something
So
like
Ava
that.
was trying to
would
get in.
probably be a
I
mute.
think there was that paper trick or whatever. This was where that was used, I think.
Triumphant.
So is she actually talking to anybody here? Is this discussion even taking place here?
Wow.
Like,
That
in my time of knowing Kinzo, he would not be saying this. This kind of goes back to episode 5 where, you know, Natsuhi created this version of Kinzo in her head for whatever reason.
is not what I expected.
Even
That
past
is
me was
not
taken
the
aback.
response.
Yeah, like, this would not have happened. This is just Natsuhi trying to pad herself, but Kinzo wasn't here.
The right stand up king.
This could not have happened. Yeah, Kinzo didn't say this shit. I don't really know what to take from... I was hoping that something else would kind of stick out there.
Kind of doubt that. You know, I would have liked to see, you know, a little bit more of, or hear a little bit more about Kinzo's past, what he was wanting to put down for his will, but we kind of cut away from that scene. I don't know. I actually kind of doubt that because remember what I said earlier, that little butterfly, what if that was a similar situation as to when Natsuhi went up into Kinzo's study back in episode 1?
Fuck, that hurts my brain. I don't know why, but this one hurts my brain a little bit. Yeah, a butterfly on her back. What the fuck, man? I'm kind of at a loss on this one.
Oh, hello. It was a single fluttering gold butterfly. It fluttered around and sparkled. That butterfly danced about without a sound. It was only natural.
This is actually a
No
good
one
one
could
that
hear
you
the sound of the butterfly's
referenced here,
wings beating.
Draxo,
And
because
then it came to a rest on
I
Rosa's
completely
back
forgot
as she
about this.
slowly climbed the stairs. I don't really know what that chime was meant to signify, but Rosa didn't notice it. If someone not in the know saw it, they'd probably assume it was just a single sheet of gold leaf in the shape of a butterfly that had been stuck there. Without noticing a thing, Rosa continued heading towards Kinzo's study. Ah. No, I getcha.
You're right, Antonio. I do recall that
I know
actually.
what's being implied.
I do recall that because even Battler, he accepted it. He accepted it in this episode, and then he got on all fours at the end, and it got a little kinky. But Rosa sees Beatrice with Maria in the garden. That is true. We have an additional person in this one, similar to how, well, this was more of a self-insert, but we also had Bernkastil inserted a character of her own into episode 5. This was supposed to just kind of be like another way of telling the story. You just have +1 character or whatever. I don't know if magic was actually being performed there. Could it also be a situation of maybe Rosa didn't see anybody, you know? Maybe there wasn't another person here. Unless something was said in red. I don't recall. Let me go to part 15. There was Maria being a little weird here in episode 1. That doesn't look like Beatrice, right? It doesn't look like her as we've come to know the sprite of Beatrice. it kind of looks like somebody wearing a hat, right? Am I the only one that thinks that? You know? And even when you consider like the previous like you don't really see much here. You see like the glare of the windows or whatever. But then that, and then it moves to her being all creepy and shit. But here I think it's kind of significant. That's not, you know, that's not Beatrice there in that silhouette. Again, maybe it's just me being all silly. But State of Being said in the chat that Maria meeting Beatrice in the garden of episode 1 also occurred. It wasn't just episode 2, but Beatrice was actually brought in not only by Maria, but Rosa and the servants and Kinzo. They were all the ones that acknowledged her existence because they actually met up with her, or at least the majority of them did. The servants, not all of them, but Genji, Kanon, and Shannon. The other two did not. What does that mean, though, with Rosa and Maria being involved? Maria seems to just kind of, you know, Kirie also saw her? Well, shit. That kind of throws out whatever I was just thinking. Oh, god damn it, man.
The witch then granted grandfather 10 tons.
I'm trying to remember. In episode 5, when they were trying to deny the existence of Beatrice, when that whole arguing was going on with what's her name? Shoot, I've already forgotten Bernkastel's character's name. Erica. Was it Erica? I think it was. When they were kind of trying to, you know, dispute all of that, weren't they discussing like the existence of Beatrice's companions, Renove, Virgilia, Gap? Were they being kind of like disproven as well, and it just being like, you know, either objects or just whatever imagination Kinzo had? I don't remember. If you're sneaking around doing shisty things on an island, a few people are bound to catch a glimpse of you. True, and we've heard of this with, well, I want to say we've heard of this with Kinzo's, you know, shuffling around, because sometimes he'll just kind of pop up outside, right? And he doesn't tell people. And supposedly there's a whole other mansion here on the island.
Gold.
So whoever Kinzo's wife was spread the story that the witch lived in the forest. Crazy thought. Was this whole family built on a lie? You know, like, whoever Kinzo's wife was, whoever Battler is referring to as grandmother, was everything kind of just brought up as, like, just a giant-ass lie in a way? Like, who gave birth to Kraus? Who gave birth to Ava and Rudolph and Rosa? You know, who was their actual mother? Was it truly the same person? And who was that person? You know, like, those are things that maybe should be considered. But I do think that the past is getting twisted around a little bit here for whatever reason. The Chester sisters have some parallels with Maria's rabbit toys shown in episode 4. Rosa even broke one on screen.
Just now, and there was no sign of anyone coming up the stairs. The person who had closed the door.
So that kind of helps my thought process that I brought up a little bit earlier, that all these characters that were kind of slowly but surely getting brought up, I don't even know if I want to say maybe even I realized that, like, hey, one of these characters seems a little familiar or whatever. But no, like, all these characters seem to have some sort of connection to something, right? The Chester sisters always seemed like a very strange bunch, in my opinion. Like, they kind of came out of nowhere. But, you know, given episode 3, which I think is the episode they came up in, that's also one that we were following Maria around. You know, we were kind of following her situation. I think that was also when we were following Ange. There was a lot of back and forth with Ange in the past, which was also in the future. I don't know. Things got a little confusing there, but Or am I thinking of episode 4? I can't remember.
His
Kanon and Shannon act a little differently in this episode compared to others I've noticed. As if, like, they're ones that are able to remember events from previous episodes and have magical abilities or whatever, probably because of their, I guess, history being in an orphanage that Kinzo has some backing to. I don't think, like, the idea of, like, a roulette and all that and, like, being or not being a furniture or a piece of furniture. Yeah, that is only brought up in episode 2 as like a continuation of Kanon's fight against that. Um there was somewhere else I wanted to go, but I can't remember. Part 7, an hour in, the adults are saying that they need a lot of money right now. We'll go check that out. Why not?
Therefore, more than anything else, he wanted a lot of money right now. Why the fuck is it being presented to us like this?
So I think it gets presented like that for everybody. I can't remember. However, yeah, we find out that Rudolph's business is in a similar situation, needing needing the money, I think, for like a lawsuit or some shit. I can't remember the specifics. Rosa is just struggling as a single mother. Hideyoshi is quite literally losing his business. And we have Kraus in the hole. If we think about it, I was thinking about this earlier. If we think about it in a way that just people need fucking money right now to the point where they're willing to kill each other, that could be the case. It could be the case where you don't have one specific person that's actually committing the crimes. You have a situation where you maybe had a few people that were willing to kill another person to set things up, get a ball rolling in a way. But then something happens and plans are kind of foiled for some others. So then you improvise and then you kind of step into the ring and you kill somebody that you think is your enemy. And then people just keep on dropping like flies. And then you're just, at the end, you have like nobody. But then again, it's hard to say because is that really the order of events? Is that really how things went down? Because things were pretty gruesome. State of being, you said one of the main motives for murder is money after all. Oh, yeah, people, I mean, think about it. Greed is one of the 7 deadly sins, of course. Interesting that it being Halloween season is only really brought up in episode 2. That is true, actually, because it's brought up in the very beginning with Maria and Rosa on the train. You know, she say Happy Halloween and all this crazy shit. It's really only ever brought up in this episode. I get it, it's October, but you don't really ever hear it again. Okay, I'm noticing here that she's willing to kind of just put up with Maria's whatever here for the sake of her just being happy. Maybe that's what we have going on? This makes me think that Rosa's the culprit, even so it's so obvious in this one. Or the one that definitely gets away with killing others. And she even has like a bit of a disagreement with Battler at the end, no? Or am I thinking Ava? No, I'm pretty sure that Rosa and Battler have a disagreement. And I think also maybe in episode 3, Ava and Battler, they've got a disagreement. But Battler's really getting into it, I think, with people. But I want to say that if that is the case, that whatever, if it's like a theme thing or whatever, that kind of connects to like whoever is like the main problematic character here, or if it's more of a perspective thing, the one that's mainly killing, it's their perspective of how the witch is and how they get away with their killings or whatever. I mean, Ava was the fucking person behind all the killings in episode 3, right? Supposedly, right? Damn it, I forgot the rules of episode 5. Nox, okay, thank you. Beatrice was so hot in this. But, so Nox's 10 Commandments of Detective Fiction. Would it be okay for me to look those up, or does somebody just want to, like, list them here? Because I don't want to accidentally spoil myself, you know? You know what? It's also worth noting here in episode 2 that all the adults were brought up into the chapel or whatever in for the first murder, for the first Twilight, and Rosa's the only fucking person that made it out of there alive, right? Don't search. Okay, I was gonna say, like, I've been very cautious here. I've been very cautious with searching certain things, especially whenever I'm, you know, going through fate. So she
Butterflies, they
was
began to
here.
gather at the witch's hand, which was held
Okay,
up
so
to the
self-insert
sky.
character, sure. But magic being
I
shown.
like those little butterfly animations. God.
But magic isn't real. The idea of it being used is shown to us, but something else has to be happening here. And Rosa just, does she go along with it for the sake of Maria? Or what goes on here, you know? Or you know what? Maybe it wasn't fixed at all. Maybe there was no magic used at all. Maybe Beatrice just did something and the candy was never fixed. Again, it was all a perspective thing. Beatrice is here. Rosa basically just witnessed nothing happen. No surprise culprits. So if that's the case, then it can't be Beatrice here. No clues gained with magic. Okay. No secret passages, which I have to come to, agree with, you know. No weird drugs or devices. No detective culprits. Solution must be reached with existing evidence. Showing a magic trick to a kid can be seen as an actual... That is true. That is true. That's what I'm saying, stated being, is that maybe... Okay, maybe it was replaced. The candy was replaced or something, and Rosa just couldn't believe that, you know, that happened or whatever because she was watching, but... Or maybe figured it out. But yeah, a kid can be deceived so easily. All clues needed for the solution were shown before. That is true. I remember being informed of that various times. We should question and suspect everyone who claims to have seen magic. Who would that be? I mean, obviously Maria. Apparently now Rosa. Not Natsuhi, I don't think. So Rosa, Ava didn't. But Kirie came across Beatrice in the second episode, and that's not necessarily an identification of there being magic used. Okay, let's see. What do we got going on here? What did I miss here in the chat? 3 and 4 are pretty crazy. 4 is ridiculous. I just think that it was like a delusional mess, I guess. I don't know. That one is pretty wild. So, whoever this is that we're following
should never be touched. Such beauty can only dwell in something so easily broken. Because of that, just
it has to be one of the kids, no? Because they're referring to Ginzo.
Like a fun dream disappears with a poof when you wake up.
And Virgilia in episode 3 was, as Juxo was pointing out here in the chat,
you stupid
that
idiot.
should be
you just
Kumasawa.
a simple, a simple order, a simple instruction. But whatever. I realized that because of my own
and some magic trick
curiosity,
was done
I had
here.
Done something that couldn't be taken back. No matter how much I regretted
Was this
it,
Maria?
No matter how much I apologized.
Is this Maria
the
here?
Vase would not be returned to its original form. Grandfather will probably.
Or is this Ava that we're following?
Probably very.
This was our first.
The butterflies kept gathering until they.
Our
formed
first
a cloud,
look
and then
at
she was
Virgilia.
there.
But
You're not Beatrice.
I wonder if this is a situation where whoever this was that we're following, you know, they thought, oh, Beatrice will come for me or whatever, and it ends up being Kumasawa. But we paint the picture of a witch over Kumasawa, maybe. Maybe that's what we have going on here? It's implied to be Beatrice's dream after the flashback is over, but why does she have it? Yeah, that is kind of strange.
I mean, it wouldn't have broken if, like, you just, listened.
It's not Ava, it's Beatrice.
Such a simple instruction and everything.
That's right. Yeah, that's what we find out at the end of this, flashback here. No, it is this person that we have here wants to be a witch, and Virgilia here is like, okay, you got it, and that is kind of like the comeuppance of Beatrice supposedly. But if that's the case, well, this would be Ava. It would still be Ava, right?
I'm
Ava Beatrice.
very
Yeah,
said
because this is
even
definitely
once
grandfather
he would
being referred
become
to
so
means
mad
that
with a
this is
rage
definitely
that would make even
Kinzo.
the
It has to
fallen
be.
angel.
This isn't the mansion. This is this on? This has to be on the island though. This is the other building. This is the mysterious secret mansion. No? And then a supposed magic trick is used here. Again, this is a child. So, if this is actually Kumasawa, what does Kumasawa do, you know? Does she just kind of replace the vase with
I
like
think
a
this was
vase that
actually
isn't broken, maybe? I can't tell if that's Ava Beatrice. It looks like the Kumadorian house where Child Rosa had... Yeah. Yeah. This was also the episode. Episode 3 was where we had this flashback that we had never heard of this before. Rosa talking about how she actually came across a woman that looked exactly like Beatrice that was holed up at the Kumadorian house. And Rosa went there, spent time with her there, but then got her killed. And then that was that. Could it be that Beatrice, if we're following a person named Beatrice here, is, you know, indeed who they say they are or whatever, the person that ends up being the person locked up here, if there was a locked up person here, somebody that Rosa gets killed. Kind of similar to a situation where in episode 5 we had like a baby that was adopted by Natsuhi, and she got her and a servant killed. Or the baby and a servant killed. I'm connecting dots? Really? There's no way. That's impossible. I don't do that. Not Ava. Young Ava was seen as... Yeah. No one of the siblings went to Kumadorian except... So, did that actually happen, though? Did Rosa actually go here? Was that a true event that actually happened? And then Beatrice was killed. If Beatrice is actually not like a secret lover or whatever, but is definitely more of like a daughter or a granddaughter of sorts. Yeah, this isn't. Yeah, I'm aware. This is way before. This would have been, again, grandfather is being said, which makes me think Kinzo already has had his 4 kids or is in the process of having his 4 kids, and a granddaughter has already been born. Something of crucial importance happened with almost all of the adults, which may be the reason the Beatrice returned, but we still don't know the full past. I mean, apparently Natsuhi had a fucking child that she adopted, and that happened. Rosa went here, and that happened. Ava had her, I don't know what the fuck happened with Ava, but apparently she wasn't all that cooperative as a child. Hard to say with Rudolph. Rudolph is a bit of a strange one, but Rudolph is hiding something because it has been alluded to like twice now, where in episode 1, Rudolph wanted to tell Battler something, right? That is where that happened. Like, there's something very important that needed to be like said to him or whatever. Okay, let's go to another one that Anonymous suggested here. I'm not going to be able to go through the entirety of part 50, but that is the flashback with young Beatrice who died. If Beatrice here is a supposed granddaughter to Kinzo, so is Rosa. They're sisters. So, or not sisters. Rosa would be an aunt to Beatrice here, which is a little strange, but it's not impossible to be younger but still be an aunt or an uncle to somebody. But that does make you think, right? So I don't know about that. I won't think about that too much. Drexo was saying that Beatrice can't be the culprit because Beatrice died, but like they're painting the idea of Beatrice. It's as if the character, the idea of Beatrice haunts them, you know? Apparently there's a whole mess with Battler's mother that we still have to address that has not been figured out. But Beatrice, the Beatrice we know, has had such a... Like, she's been trying to push Battler towards the truth. Just, you know, not directly towards it. Just all these inadvertent directions. I mean, there was, like, the whole idea that you had like a homunculus or some shit that or like a fake human or some weird rumor was going around with Kinzo raising somebody here locked away or some shit. I don't know. That is questionable still.
It's definitely dead, is what she's saying here, by the way.
It's definitely. Why are they referring to like? Are they referring to her corpse as an it? You know, like why that? But okay, to use red on a character that means that there was a person and they are dead. So we have to consider that. My crazy theory that I was thinking here just a moment ago was we had Beatrice isn't the only character who fell off a cliff. That is true. Like I said, supposedly a servant and a baby fell off the cliff. So we have to consider that as well. And whether or not that's true, the fact that it's happened twice, you know, 2 nickels or whatever, my idea was like, okay, Rosa is, you know, somewhere in her teens at this age or whatever. She's still a child. Beatrice is here. Rudolph would have to be an adult by now, right? Like he's at old age. Could it be possible that, you know, he didn't know that this person is family, but the cliff is the culprit? Yeah, that fucking cliff. I will always defend small bombs because Beatrice explicitly accepted it as a blue. So it's a potential, it's a possibility, it's a valid hypothesis. Oh no, by all means, spoon feed me. I'm fucking stupid. I'll probably forget like 90% of things before we head to the next episode anyways. The idea here that, you know, magic is just kind of like it's a perception thing. It's messing with your mind. You're not fully understanding something that everything has to have a scientific explanation behind it, you know, but we choose a lot of times to believe in other things like the wrath of God or the blessings of God or Jesus or whatever, you know, deity you believe in for doing or for good things happening. But that's not really what went down. We have scientific explanations for why things occur the way that they do. We know why a TV works, or at least there's a scientific explanation for why a TV works. I think we had this discussion already. It was brought up as an example. But yeah, this is being utilized in a way, I think, to kind of tell us that magic has been used as not in a way to deter us too much, but to show that there are things happening that we just don't have the explanation for yet. There is an explanation for a lot of things that occur here, but we're not coming to that conclusion yet. But all things also have a purpose. Everything has been shown to us the way they have for a reason. Nothing here has been shown to us to fully deter us. Everything has been shown to us for a reason, as been stated earlier. I do want to bring up what Jauxo and State of Being were talking about here. I just don't remember the actual episode, but I need to find it. I want to find the backstory from Natsuhi about the child. I think that would kind of going through that one more time, and then well, actually, hold on. I just got another bunch of timestamps here. Perfect. Part 89, Battler talks about his parents, and Beatrice is really pushing him to say something. Okay. Let's go there. Let's do that, and then we'll jump to wherever I'm looking for. Battler's sin. So this is it. This is where problems arise with Battler not supposedly remembering something or not knowing of something that he should know. Born and raised Ushiromiya, but like, is he for sure Ushiromiya? Like, does he, like, for sure, is he his father's son? Like, has that been verified in Red? I'm not sure. I want to say yes, that it's been verified enough that we can confirm that he is his son, and that it's just the mother situation there changing. But I wonder if it's also something else. Okay. Thank you, State of Being, for verifying that.
The witch's expression
I
did
was just
not
kind of
look
like
like
thinking out loud, but
did
like
not look like a
I had a
person
feeling
posing a
that
tough question on
there was
someone
no
with sneering.
true uncertainty behind that. I was thinking here in this situation that there was something that Battler did out of, you know, incompetence, or like he wasn't aware that he did something wrong. I'm not sure, but I want to say that's what I was thinking at the time. Not about a person, but more of a thing that he did.
他に俺に罪があるってのかよ。
思い出す。後ろそしてそれを思い出せぬことがそなたの。
Okay, not being able to remember is his sin. So he forgot something. It's not that he did something wrong, it's just that he forgot, which kind of leads us back to what is Beatrice's role in that?
I wonder if something actually did happen here.
だからこそ
Did he figure out the epitaph and then forget the answer? Well, you did cause trouble 6 years ago.
今回の親族会議が初対面のはず。
Thinking about it in a similar way to like Tsukihime, you know, like having to like leave and what kind of damage that can do to the family.
6年前のロッケン島においてわらわはまだ権限していない。
なら俺に何の罪があるってんだ。俺にお前に対する罪が。
No, he sinned in not remembering.
同じことを二度言わせるな。わらわは6年前には権限しておらぬ。そなたと面識など。
So whether he did something good, bad, or whatever, the fact that he doesn't remember whatever is being referenced here, that's the problem.
Beato's cold eyes felt as though they were pursuing some kind of sin. At a glance, it felt as though
Let's
she
move to
still hated me for
1921.
something I had done to her. Hold on now.
俺は誰も殺してなんかいない。
How did his mother die?
じゃあ言えよ。俺が誰を殺した。
Well, his mother isn't his real mother either.
そなたの罪によりこの島の人間が大勢死ぬ。
Hold on. No. Because of something that Battler did, or his ability to not remember is his sin. The fact that he can't remember has allowed the events to occur. If I'm reading this correctly, with everything that we've connected together here, and with money being involved, the potential of really everybody on the island wanting money being a potential problematic character, him not remembering something and maybe doing something about whatever it is that he should be remembering has allowed everybody here to be put in a situation of great danger. Maybe that's what we have going on. That's sort of what I'm seeing here, but I'm not sure.
Saying that it's because
Speak
of
your
Battler
shit,
that
Beatrice.
people died on this day?
誰も逃さず、すべて死ぬ。
She's saying story people
俺がみんなを殺したって言うのかよ。俺は殺人鬼か。
そなたが直接
Inadvertently.
手を下すわけではない。しかし、
It's like through, you know, an action something else occurs, but like you didn't mean for it to happen.
そなたが罪を犯したからこそ、6年にもわたる歯車の狂いにて歪みが生じ、今夜、これだけの人命が失われるのだ。そなたは、この惨劇の原因の一つである。
Okay, she's not necessarily
Okay, but by her logic here, then by the events that we just reviewed back in episode 3, that's also another one of the causes of this tragedy, by Rosa doing what she did, going out there and meeting with Beatrice, with Natsuhi's child and that servant, you know, falling off the cliff, with the cliff even existing.
saying
I don't
this
think
in
I'm cooking
red,
at
but
all,
it's
Liz
something to
25. Not at
consider.
all.
He is one of. That's a huge point here. He is not.
Oh,
the
wait, yeah,
cause
I
of
even
this
address it.
tragedy.
So because of how Ryukishi designed his character to be, you know, not all that bright, to, you know, give others the spotlight, it has kind of pushed for this very scenario. I think that's actually it. He had influence because of his action. Him leaving the way he did can create, like I said, it can create problems. It can create disarray in a very interesting way, and especially with the fact that Rudolph, the person that Rudolph was with, the person that Battler always saw as his mother, wasn't actually his mother. So, a few things. One, how did, she die? But two, what did that do? What did these events push towards other than obviously the end result here? The events that we saw in episode 5, how Natsuhi was being all paranoid because there's somebody on the island that's trying to, get revenge or whatever. And there is the parallel that's occurring with Battler returning after all this time or whatever. And I don't want to revisit that right now. I don't know. Battler had a phone call with someone in episode 4. It was with Beatrice, right? Like, remember when Beatrice was talking in English, all funny like and shit? But then he also had a phone call with Kirie. Did you solve why Battler saw magic at the end of episode 2? Oh, I just figured he was dead. Was it? I want to say it's because his character succumbed to believing in magic. Everybody that was alive or left alive believed in magic, I suppose, at least to a degree. And that's what they saw. Without love, it cannot be seen. You can't see magic if you don't believe in it or whatever. That was the whole, shtick with what we learned from Ange, right?
Battler
It can be between Battler and anybody else, but it has an effect on Beatrice. Maybe. Episode 5 was created by Burn Castile and Lambda Delta, who have no regard about what Beatrice wanted to show, so the fallen infant subplot may also... that is true, but I don't want to fully disregard it either because of the fact that we've seen something like that already once before. I do think that that story was set up in a way to throw us off for one, but two, to just paint Beatrice in a bad light and to just wrap this shit up, which obviously isn't going to work. It had one goal and it tried to squeeze away from everything else, but it obviously left more plot holes than we thought, and that's when Battler came up and was able to, save the day, and the game continues. But we have the red there that is pretty important to keep in mind. There was one more timestamp that I was given here for this one. Trying to scroll up and find it. 5643. The span of 6 years became a blank space. Yo, wait a minute. Whoa, hey, hold on now. This actually seems kind of suspicious. That actually seems kind of suspicious there. Given what we know of episode 5, that seems kind of sus, doesn't it? Can I get a wink wink nudge nudge in the chat? You don't even have to agree with me. Just give me that wink wink nudge nudge. But no, I mean, come on. That definitely seems a little sus there.
Is that what she's trying to state here? She's trying to state that Battler died 6 years ago?
No, that's not it. That's not it.
Isn't necessarily Battler.
I don't think that's what's being said here. No.
6 years ago, my opponent, the true Ushiromiya Battler, was already dead. You were part of a plot by Rudolph having something to do with distribution of the inheritance. A body double set up in Ushiromiya Battler's place.
I do want to say, it's similar to what's going on in Tsukihime, and I'm not going to get into the specifics because if you guys haven't read Tsukihime, that's just one of the things I'm doing a playthrough of right now. No winking will be more interesting. No, you have to wink. Also interesting that they gave the phone man back. That was the first thing that I noticed in episode 5. That was the same fucking voice. And somebody said in the comments, nah, that's nothing. But in my head, I'm thinking, no, that can't be nothing. That has to be something. even if it's not actually Battler that has to have more significance, they could just have gotten any other fucking male VA out of the many they seem to have in this shit and have done a different pitch of their voice or some shit. But no, they did Battler. They did Battler. It had to have been. And that means that there's something to it. And now we have something here going on, which reminds me very much of what's happening in Tsukihime at this time. It's not exactly that somebody was killed, but the idea of Ushiromiya Battler was killed off and pushed towards somebody else. And if it has something to do with the inheritance, something that is like a driving factor towards all of this, 6 years ago, there could have maybe been a solution to the inheritance, maybe. And if that's the case, then none of this shit would have been happening. Battler could have been a part of something going on that could have wrapped all this shit up before it became such a dramatic mess, maybe. And the fact that Battler doesn't remember, maybe he knew of a solution, or maybe there was something to it, but since he dipped out, and then 6 years happened, and then Battler returns, it makes you wonder, right? 6 years of what? So maybe that's it. If the inheritance, if money, if greed is the driving factor to things occurring the way they did, then Battler had something that could have helped out many years ago, maybe. Or maybe even during the 6-year span. The fact that he left in general, you know? He doesn't know what he did wrong. He doesn't remember. And that's the sin. But that's another thing. So Battler in episode 5 thought that he saw Kinzo, but I mean, come on. He even brought up that anybody could, like, you know, misinterpret seeing Kinzo. He's very identifiable, but you can still, you know, misinterpret. Oh, yeah. Battler was drinking. He was drinking. That's actually pretty significant. So I predicted successfully, I think, Natsuhi's not the one that committed the murders. I said in part 106, there may not be a 19th person, the phone guy. Everyone could have died at different intervals. So that's what I was saying earlier. Like, here in episode 5, we actually kind of timestamp things pretty well, but that's never done in previous episodes. So that I'm very much, like, curious about. Why is one of my predictions the series won't go past 200 videos? Do you guys believe that? Do you think this playthrough will go past 200 videos? Because what I'm streaming and recording right now is going to be 119. So 120 will be the official start for episode 6. So I don't think so. A gun was used in the majority of the murders. I think, is part 94... Okay, yeah, that was still... When did I start? Okay, yeah, part 94 was still... Oh, you think it will surpass 200? Shit. Not if I do the 200, or the 2-hour-long recording sessions for every video. I didn't really make too many predictions here for episode 5. Many scenes involving Ange, the Seven Sisters, Maria, and Sakutaro didn't actually happen. But if we consider the idea of all these characters being from Maria's imagination, some of the characters that are associated directly to Beatrice being from Kinzo's imagination, things to consider there, maybe. What else did I say? I already brought up all these predictions before. Similarly to other witches, Maria cannot be trusted and shouldn't fully listen to her. I think that also creates an issue, yeah. Number of people in this parlor now is equal to the number of people on this island. So 18, okay. I don't think there's anything strange to
We might be
consider out of the
pretty
numbers.
set on that not necessarily being an issue going forward.
And Anonymous was just saying that this is maybe the only time that Battler makes a
The
narration
number
like
of humans
this.
on this island has returned to 18. I mean, we can't necessarily that there were for the guest Furuto Erika. And behind
Okay,
her,
there's nothing else I want to see here.
Kumasawa-san
Okay.
and Shun-
So things to consider as I, put this very long video to rest. I'll close this. Some things to consider. One, I need to look back on those that believed in magic. I want to return to one as well again. And I want to, and two, because I want to look over the people that believed that that they had witnessed magic or believe in Beatrice or whatever. I think in episode 1, we had the situation with, like the same wavelength type of situation. Yeah, I don't know. 4 has a lot of filler, but that's how preachy Rikishi writing can be. Yeah, I mean, 4 was nuts, but I feel like there really is a lot to gain from it. And 5 with the phone calls with whoever that was. I think I know what I want to review, or at least think about. This was good, guys. This was good. I really like this one. Or I like this idea that I had to just kind of sit, stream, and you guys kind of like point me in some directions, and I just look over some parts. But man, what a long-ass visual novel this is. It really is long. Maybe of interest, the adults thought the witch was an urban legend told to not go to the forest. Yes, and that was supposedly passed down, as we saw earlier. Which also that the servants say, but later in the timeline, the name of Beatrice got attached to it. Ooh, okay. I feel like, like I said earlier, it's as if they're haunted by the idea of Beatrice, some of these people, But I feel more confident. I think I can say that for the first time in my Umineko history here, is I feel a little bit more confident in that I might be able to like tie some things together maybe. What's my theory? I still don't have one. I don't know. I think it's a situation though. Here's my idea. I think it's a situation where we have greedy people that are acting of their own volition, maybe not together, and maybe there's obviously there's conflict of interest. But I want to say we also have situations of plans that people have kind of getting overwritten. Did you make the theory about Beatrice's final question and why Battler dies at the end of episode 4? Well, Battler dies at the end of episode 4 because he feels like he's lost his sense of existence, no? Like, he thinks that because he's not the son of his mother or whatever, that he's not actually Battler. But now that we've also brought up the idea of there being another Battler that took over Battler, if that makes any sense. Oh, Peace Battler in the game? He didn't die, did he? He just went missing, which is kind of strange. Here's something I want to say, though. It was told to us that Battler isn't the culprit, right? He cannot be the culprit. But if everybody kills themselves, then it's like, okay, well, now he's the last one alive. Hard to say, though. He dies at midnight. Good old midnight. Everybody has to die by midnight. If you're not dead by midnight, you're not real. That's how it goes. There's some easy to miss phrasings that can identify the culprit directly, which is how some figured it out, but it may take even longer to go through. Well, knowing me, who... You got to keep in mind, I have to commentate over everything. There's stuff I'm going to miss. Beatrice said that she would kill him even though he's alone on the island. Well, in that case, he's not actually alone then. Everyone died in episode 3 besides Ava. And that makes me think that she succeeded in her plan to be the last one alive, but things didn't go according to plan. That actually fuels my new prediction here. If everybody's killing each other for the fucking money, then somebody, not everybody, but like whoever is willing to kill another person, Ava's getting away with killing others, but something happens that leads to the deaths of her husband and her son, which were not a part of her plan. She didn't want that to happen. She thought that she'd be fine getting away with what she did, but instead that led to her family dying. So I want to say that that's how that went down. At that point, everyone was confirmed to be dead and red. Also, Beatrice specified that she's not Battler, so it couldn't be suicide. Okay. Battler is the last alive, it's said. And he's always made it to the end. That's another thing to consider. He's always in the end. Always makes it to the very end. You know, he was having the bickering with Rosa in episode 2, whatever conflict in 3, and then in 1 with him, George, Jessica, and Maria. Who did he shoot? Did he actually shoot Maria, you know? Like, I don't have a solid theory as to what happened, guys, and I'm so sorry. But if anything, I do want to... I think it is a situation of, one, perspectives, I guess you could say. There's a whole lot of things being misconstrued. Things aren't brought up for us to be deterred, but it's definitely brought up in a way that is confusing to my dumbass. I want to say that something forgotten with Battler is the key. He didn't mean to do something inadvertently. It's as if 6 years ago, or how many years ago, a solution was on the horizon. But because of what Battler did, because he left, and because he forgot of that significance of him leaving, he forgot all about that significance, nothing was resolved for years. And then we come here, and then people want to kill each other. Maybe that's what we have going on? And it's painted with an idea of the occult because it's Kinzo. And it doesn't help that we have other situations going on. Not everyone's trying to kill each other. We just have, like, people that are trying to do different things. I think the only thing we didn't go over much is Ange's and Maria's stories in the future. Yeah, I feel like that was just trying to get the ideas down. I'm sure there's something to get, but it's possible to figure out Battler's sin by episode 4 when it's revealed, so here's... Ah, man. I mean, him saying, you know, Battler replaced by another Battler in the 6-year blank period or whatever, and then when you consider episode 5's events, that may not be one-to-one, but it's definitely something to consider, that something happened there as if Rudolph was planning something else. And then maybe Rudolph felt guilty and wanted to explain to Battler what really went down, maybe? I don't know. But yeah, again, guys, thank you all for coming out. This was a lot for my puny brain, but I really appreciate you guys helping out and making the mystery a whole lot more fun to try to solve, because, I mean, once I solve it, once I figure things out, I mean, that's it. Like, there's no going back, right? Yeah, guys, thank you all for coming out. Thank you again to everybody chatting. This was a lot of fun. Thank you to everybody who watched this video, because I have no idea what this video is going to turn out to. I'm going to have to somehow cut this up, and it's just going to be a lot of me rambling, I'm sure. I'm pretty sure it is. But yeah, it was cool. Thank you all for coming out. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all in the beginning of episode 6. I'm ready for it. Kind of, not really, but we'll get it, man. We'll get it. You guys have a good one. Take it easy.